Hey, what's up guys? My name is Tom Spark. Welcome to another video. Today I'll be talking about what it's like being a full-time YouTuber. I've been a full-time YouTuber since around 2017, and before that I was a blogger for around 2 years who had my own blog at best10vpn.com. I started doing YouTube to kind of change it up, and mostly because my blog was losing some views, and I've had really good success here on YouTube, building up a sizable community and making pretty good money enough to live on comfortably. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of what it's like being a YouTuber and if you should be one full time, or even just if you should work on your own doing something else for yourself full time. Hey guys, just a reminder to check out vpntierlist.com. It's a collection of all my ratings on the channel, and you're going to find lots of helpful information here on how to choose a VPN. Anyways, back to the video. So first up guys, I'm going to talk about the good things and then I'll talk about the bad things. So firstly, one of the best things about working for yourself or working YouTube full-time is that you can pretty much wake up whenever you want. I've known a lot of people to have various kind of different schedules. Some people will wake up at 10 o'clock and do work when they feel like it. Some people will kind of stick to a more traditional schedule. They'll wake up at like 7 o'clock and try to have more of a productive day. For me, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I'll kind of just get up whenever I feel like it, maybe somewhere around 9 o'clock or somewhere around there. And the good news also is you can also go to bed whenever you want, so that's also cool. You don't really feel pressured to have that super groggy feeling getting up at an early hour in order to get to work on time. That's not part of the job really at all, and it's something that you can start to take granted, but it's something that's very nice. Another cool thing is that you have way more flexibility with how you eat lunches. This might not seem like a big deal, but when you're at work, you have the pressure of packing lunches, kind of planning ahead. You know, what are you going to eat? You might have to go out to eat a lot. You might have to go out to eat with your coworkers and spend money that way as well. And when you work at home, you have more flexibility. You could go out to eat if you want, get some fast food. You could go to a restaurant. You can eat at home, make yourself food. You can meal prep and make it so you don't have to spend much time cooking at all. You just have more flexibility with how you eat lunch, and it's actually a pretty cool perk. You could save money as well. It kind of leads me into my next point with flexibility is really the key here by working as a YouTuber. Is that you have a flexible schedule to do whatever you want as well. Let's say you're kind of tired of working, you've worked for 2 or 3 hours or something like that. You could go work out. You know, traditionally 8 to 5 jobs, a lot of people are too tired when they get home to work out, and they don't want to work up too early to work out before work, so they just don't end up working out at all. I think this is the most common case for most people in the world, and it's kind of unfortunate. You know, there are those people who are able to get up at 4 in the morning and work out before work, and of course the people who are comfortable working at 10 o'clock in the gym. But you know, for most people, none of the things really work. But when you're working at home, you could work out, you know, after you're done working, maybe around 3 or 4, beat the rush at the gym, which is really cool. And you can also work out before you work at home, waking up when you want to. But also not just in terms of exercise. You could take care of your animals, take your dogs on the walk, you could clean the house, keep it really nice. And those are kind of things that get pushed aside, especially when you have a full-time job that you're committed to going to all day. It kind of leads me into my next point is that if you do get sick, you could just work at home. You don't have to take a sick day. You don't have to call your boss and kind of say, hey, I can't come into work today, which is always a pain. You could just take the day off, or you could work at home. Working at home when you're sick isn't too bad because you could do it on your couch, you can do it in your pajamas, you can have a nice bowl of chicken soup next to you. It's really not too bad, and if you really don't feel that good, if you have a fever or something, just go on the couch, watch YouTube all day, play some video games, watch some movies, have a nice cup of tea. You could be snotting all over everywhere you want to, leaving tissues everywhere. It's really just up to you, and it's something you can't really do at a traditional workplace. Probably one of the most important things about working for yourself on YouTube is that you own your own business. You can control how much or how little money you make. It's kind of a double-edged sword, but at the end of the day, you have no boss. So it's up to you to decide how you want to make money, how you want to build your community, what kind of content you make. This is something that is really cool, and for certain people like myself who don't really like authority, don't really like listening to people tell me what to do, this is one of the biggest perks of the job and probably something that keeps me happy doing it. I've worked at home before and had clients or bosses that were really pushy, really naggy, and it always kind of pissed me off. But being a YouTuber, for the most part, you don't really have to listen to anyone. You could be your own boss, hire your own people, and nag them if you want to. Additionally, you can kind of work at your own pace with little to no oversight. Like I said, you don't have that person nagging you, telling you to do your job better, telling you to do whatever better. A lot of people are unhappy with their jobs because this is quite common in the workplace to have people always nagging you, trying to get you to stick to deadlines. At home, you don't really have to worry about that. Also, you could go to dentist and doctor appointments whenever you want to. It's very easy to schedule things like this due to your flexible nature. You could go in the morning, in the afternoon. You could just be really flexible, and it's nice not to have to overly plan for some of these things that are basic necessities to your health. In terms of making a community, making your own business, it can be very satisfying. When you see money rolling in, you see passive revenue rolling in, it can be really satisfying to know that you're doing something that presents value. Not only that, if you spend a lot of time on a video and it does really well, gets a lot of views, gets a lot of likes, it can be incredibly satisfying and rewarding on its own. Not only that, you can also make some friends in your community and kind of, if it's something that your ego wants, you could kind of become famous, but it's not super likely. But some people do become pretty famous, become known, become personalities. And I think I would be lying to say if there wasn't some sort of appeal there for most people who are YouTubers. Lastly, one of the pros is that you can live wherever you want to. This is something that's really cool. If you end up making pretty good money on YouTube, you could drastically increase your quality of living by living somewhere cheaper than, say like the Bay Area or New York or anywhere else that's expensive in the world, like London or Hong Kong or any one of these places. You could just keep the same amount of money you're making and move to somewhere cheaper. So you could buy a really big house, you could buy land, you can make a nicer studio, you could do things that you couldn't in an expensive area where all the jobs are. Most people have to work 8 to 5 jobs in areas that are pretty expensive because areas that are expensive have a lot of jobs. So that kind of sucks. But when you work for yourself, you work outside of the office, you work on your own, you can live wherever you want. Now, let's talk about some cons. So in terms of the cons, make no mistake, working for yourself, working on YouTube, it can get lonely. That's probably my biggest kind of con of the job, is that it sucks not meeting friends or coworkers in a traditional office environment. Now, when you're in an office, you might make some friends, you might have some good banter going out throughout the day. It does make work go by faster. At home, that's not always the case. Sure, you can make friends with your community and stuff like that, but most of these interactions aren't face to face. Some YouTubers get wealthy enough to hire their own employees, which is cool, and it probably provides them a similar sense of community. But for small YouTubers like myself who haven't really made that much money to hire people, it definitely does get lonely not having other coworkers or other traditional ways to meet people. Because when you get 20 plus years of age and you're not going to college or school anymore and you work from home, where else are you going to really meet people? Most people who have 8 to 5 jobs and have relationships don't really spend that much time thinking about getting more friends. They just come home. They want to put on Netflix, want to have, a relaxing evening. They're not really looking to socialize that much. Most people who, don't have jobs are spending time trying to find jobs, and it's just pretty hard to make friends and feel social as a YouTuber. Like I said, it can vary depending on person by person. If you're super extroverted, you might just have an easy time going to a bar, making friends that way or something like that. But even still, from 8 to 5, most people are working and they're not really interested in chatting with you, as much as you might be able to. Remember, YouTubers have more flexible kind of time periods. They could chat easier online, and most people who are at work have to work, and that's a big chunk of time that you're not going to be able to interact with a lot of people. So it just kind of stucks that way. You have to understand that when you work for yourself, your lifestyle is ultimately different than other people's in a very fundamental way. Some people might not call what you have a real job. And they might ask you to help them with favors. Let's say you're just working at home. You have some kind of relative that knows you do so. They're like, oh, he could help me put a couch in my car. He could help me move. He can help me do whatever, because they think that you have so much flexible time. You'll be the guy that has to adhere to other people's schedule because you have more flexibility. It can be annoying. Sometimes you might have to assert yourself with family and friends saying, hey, I have to work too. I have stuff I need to do, so I can't necessarily help you. They might get offended though and not really consider you being that helpful or something like that, when it wouldn't really be the case with a normal job. Sometimes even your spouse or something like that gonna rely on you a little bit more. Sometimes with me, my spouse might ask me to take the dogs out because she got up late. I might have to do a little bit more housekeeping or something like that. Might have to get the packages that got delivered to the door or go to the mailbox. These kind of little chores, I don't really mind so much, but they can be another little burden to consider if that's something that could bug you a lot. While it's nice having creative control over your business and ultimately deciding everything that you do, sometimes that can feel a little bit of a burden. It's easy to kind of get burnt out doing YouTube or working for yourself because you're not really having anyone give you direction or tell you what to do. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide what you do, and sometimes this could be pretty stressful. Sometimes you don't really know when to stop working, or maybe you're just on the couch after you're done working and your brain's still kind of going around in circles thinking, what should my next video be? Should I change my channel? Should I do something different? It's really all up to you, and make no mistake, that can be a little bit of a con sometimes. Additionally, if you just kind of feel like you're tired of making videos, what are you supposed to do? You could do something different, you could get a real job, but it's something that you really have to consider to yourself. Maybe you need to try some strategies to avoid burnout, but again, these are all things that you have to decide and think of in order to prevent yourself from getting burnt out. A lot of YouTubers have kind of talked about burnout and stuff. They've kind of changed their channels and done other things. Some people have quit YouTube altogether, so it's something serious to consider. That kind of leads me into my next point, is that there's no job stability or certainty that you are relevant or keep making money, and ultimately you are behest to the platform you use, for better or worse. Let's say YouTube starts demonetizing all your videos. Suddenly your business is not making any money. This is entirely possible. That's happened to people on the platform, and there's other platforms as well. Let's say you're an affiliate for Amazon and suddenly they cut affiliate percentages by half. That happened to me, and it actually significantly hurt my revenue on one of my affiliate websites where I'd review office chairs and stuff like that. Or you're an affiliate for some other company and suddenly they just close the program and 30% of your business just goes out the drain. This is entirely possible as well. So depending on the platform you use, it can be a little bit risky, and there's not really any certainty or salary that you can rely on with like a traditional job. Of course, you have the benefit of perhaps making more money if you do really well. It can also be pretty easy to be distracted by stuff like video games and stuff like that, I'm not gonna lie, or other hobbies you might have. Sometimes these hobbies and things that are fun can sometimes feel more meaningful than your career or what you're doing. Sometimes it can feel pretty burdensome to think about how big you need to get to make more money, how to get more subscribers, maybe your videos aren't doing well. So sometimes it can be easy to just turn on a video game, some competitive online game, some video game that can help you escape reality, maybe to go read a book or do some chores around the house to kind of procrastinate instead of making more content, making more money, and maybe you feel more successful in these kind of hobbies and stuff like that than you do in your real career. It can be tricky sometimes identifying exactly what you should be doing during the day. Should you be playing a video game that might give you that little high, or should you kind of work throughout the day to make a really good video instead of getting distracted? These are things that you have to consider when working for yourself, when being a YouTuber, and you can't let yourself get too much distracted by other hobbies and interests that ultimately might not matter as much financially as what you're doing for YouTube or your career. Probably one of the biggest cons about being a YouTuber or someone who works for themselves is that you have to pay a large amount of taxes. Now, there are ways to deduct taxes by saying you buy a new computer, you could deduct that, but it's not the same as just reducing money you have to pay, but it reduces the amount of money you make, and ultimately you pay a little bit less, but it's not like you suddenly just had to pay $3,000 less or something like that. That's not really how it works, and some people might think that's how it works, but it's not how it works. If you work for yourself, you're self-employed, you're a YouTuber or someone like that, chances are you're going to have to pay 25% of your income to the IRS, as well as money to the state that you're living in. Of course, this changes where you're living in the world, but taxes are something that everyone has to deal with, and it can really hurt your kind of revenue. It can really hurt you, especially if you don't plan on saving money that you need to pay for the taxes. You also have to factor in the burden of doing your own accounting, like with QuickBooks and stuff like that. Hiring an accountant, they can be expensive, $50 to $100 or more per hour. So these are things that you have to consider, and it's just a kind of a shitty reality of working for yourself, that you do have to actually pay more taxes than most people have 8 to 5 jobs. It's just the taxes are higher. Sometimes you can kind of get stale in your home. You know, I kind of talked a little bit like that loneliness factor, not meeting other people, not seeing other people. And it can be really, you can go in coffee shops and stuff like that and feel a little bit more social and see people and feel more of a community vibe there. But, you know, living at home, working at home, it kind of changes the way home feels somewhat. You know, you don't come home and take your socks off and have that sigh of relief as you might with a normal job. You don't really feel super special about being home. It just kind of changes the way you feel about home, for better or worse, I think. Sometimes you kind of get tired of looking at the same stuff in your house. Sometimes you just are kind of tired of, you feel like you've been sitting down all day. And these kind of things there are strategies to prevent, you know, this kind of staleness from building up. But it's just something that kind of happens from being inside all day. You know, it kind of depends on you how much you feel like this. But sometimes I do feel stale. I need to go take a walk. I need to go do something. I need to do something fun on the weekend, or when my wife gets home, do something fun as well. So that's that. Lastly, I do want to say that sometimes it can be hard explaining your job to other people, and some people might not respect you. But most people do think it's actually kind of cool, especially, you know, millennials and younger people. They might kind of look up to you and respect you for doing something on your own that you're successful at. But a lot of times older people and stuff, they might not respect you or really understand what you're doing. So you might have to say, oh, I'm a video production guy. I make videos online. I work online. And they always might be like, you know, what are you doing? You know, boomers especially, they kind of expect most people to work how they did, and they might not respect someone who doesn't do what they did. That's just how it is. Anyways, guys, these are my long thoughts on what it's like to be a full-time YouTuber and someone who's worked for myself for around 4 years or so. Let me know down in the comments down below what you thought of this video, if you would like to see more like it. A little bit different than most of the other things I do on the channel, which are more review based on software. But I thought it could be interesting for my current viewers to see what it's like, my perspective on what it's like working for myself. And let me know what you think, and I'll see you again very soon.